Story time about how my ex broke into my apartment and trashed my entire apartment and ruined every single thing that I owned. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. I'm not gonna lie, my relationship with my ex is terribly toxic. We actually met each other on a dating app I know. He was absolutely charming on the first date. Second date, not so much. And third date, he was absolutely awful. But I just started falling in love with him, like literally from the moment I met him. I had it in my head that I was gonna make him a good boyfriend. Like me. I seriously, honestly thought that he would change and just become a better guy. He quickly wanted to be exclusive, but did not want to call me his girlfriend. Oh, and he would get jealous about every little single thing. If I wanted to go out with friends, he would get upset. If I didn't answer my phone or text him right away, he would get upset. Mind you, this whole time, he doesn't want to call me his girlfriend. I work as a stylist, but I also model on the side just for some money. Well, he hated this. A week into dating or whatever we were, he told me that I needed to quit modeling. If I didn't quit modeling, that meant that I was for the streets. Because, you know, all models are for the streets. Like the idiot I am, I started passing up on jobs. I even passed up on a Sephora campaign. My modeling agency was really upset. In my mind, I thought, you know, if I do what he wants, he'll be a good boyfriend. And maybe we can call each other boyfriend and girlfriend. My mom kept insisting that she wanted to meet him, but he said no. Now, when he told me that he didn't want to meet my mom, trust me, I put my foot down. I told him there was absolutely no way I could be in a relationship with anybody who did not want to meet my family. He told me that I was taking things way too seriously. That's when I threw it in his face that he acts like a jealous boyfriend, but still doesn't want to call me his girlfriend. So he explained to me that any girl he talks to has to be only for him. And even if he's not dating you, you still have to be only for him. Then he told me that he was dating 2 other girls. I had a suspicion, but I never thought he would actually admit it to me. I told him that we needed a break and that I didn't want to see him for a few weeks. This made him insanely jealous. He told me that I was a liar and that I was probably hooking up with someone else the whole time I was with him. And yes, I did try to convince him that I wasn't, but he was not having it. I just moved into my new apartment, which I absolutely love. Spent over $3,000 decorating it. I even got CB2 furniture. I made the mistake of giving him a key a few weeks ago. One day I come home from a modeling job and my apartment is completely trashed. I walk into my apartment to find it trashed. At first I thought I had been robbed, but that's when it hit me. It was my ex. The walls in my apartment were smeared with chocolate. There was literally broken glass in the entryway, so I could have stepped in glass. All the mirrors were shattered and broken. My television was on the floor, completely smashed, and there was a hammer right next to my TV. This man took a hammer and smashed my television. He did the same thing to my expensive Vitamix blender. All of my makeup was in the toilet. And yes, there was poo in the toilet too. The sink was full of kitchen condiments where he put all of my expensive perfumes. The bathroom mirror was also smashed. My expensive ass CB2 couch was full of mustard and honey. All of my couch cushions had olive oil on them. I mean, the list goes on and on. I pulled out my phone and started taking picture and video. I called the police and my parents came right away. Of course, I called my ex and told him that I knew it was him and he denied everything. He said, and I quote, "You're crazy," and then hung up. The cop that came to my apartment was super rude. He said that I must have done something really bad in order to deserve this kind of punishment. I filed a police report and they told me that I could sue him. So far, he does not want to pay a single dime. He then admitted to me through text messages that he got the idea from a TikTok video and that some other guy had done this to his ex. So far, I spent $500 just in cleaning services to clean my apartment. I'm living back with my parents. Luckily, a judge made him pay me $5,000. Still not enough. He's been calling me and begging me to get back with him. What do I freaking do?
Story time on how I beat up my grandma. Yes, my grandma. You heard right. Let's get into it. Okay, so boom. I'm a 16-year-old high school student who finds myself at my grandma's house almost every day. My mom's a single mother and works 2 jobs. And instead of leaving me home alone, she always drops me off at my grandma's house. And this has been our routine ever since I was 5 years old. My mom just felt more comfortable leaving me at my grandma's house. But what my mom didn't know is that I'd rather stay home alone rather than going to my grandma's house. My grandma has been beating me up ever since I was 5 years old. She didn't beat me up for any valid reasons. She would just be mad at me for the smallest things. Like one time I broke her glass chandelier while I was playing with my ball and she hit me. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV by accident and again she hit me. Y'all wouldn't believe this third reason why she beat me up. Like, my grandma would always beat me up for the smallest things. None of her reasons were valid. She beat me up once for breaking her glass chandelier while I was playing ball. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV screen on accident and she beat me up again. She even would tell me to wash the dishes, and when I would tell her no, because I don't live here, I shouldn't be washing anything, she would once again beat me up for being quote unquote disrespectful. All this hitting throughout the years and I was just over it, and my mom always siding with my grandma. Well, I'm 16 now and I was over it. My 76-year-old grandma should have learned to keep her hands to herself. So this This particular night, she told me to study, but I didn't want to study. I wanted to watch TV, so I told her no straight up. And things escalated. My grandma told me to go study, and I told her no, I wanted to watch TV. She said she was sick of my slick mouth and made her way over to hit me. But this time, oh no, I wasn't going for it. I pushed her away from me, then I punched her on her arms and her face. She fell down and started screaming in shock that I even hit her. Once my mom came home, my grandma told my mom what happened, and my mom beat the living soul out of me. And my mom told me if I ever raised my hands to my grandma again, she was going to do more than just hit me with a belt. Truth is, my grandma never hit me unless I was rude or broke something, and that happened very often. Come to find out, I actually suffered from aggressive behavior in children and needed to get treated. Thank God I got treated and I'm better now, and me and grandma has a great relationship now. Don't beat up your grandma.
Disclaimer, this is not my story. This happened a few weeks ago. I invited all my friends to dinner at my house to celebrate moving into my new house. And my friend Katie asked if she could bring her boyfriend Dale, so our friend group can finally meet him in person. I said yes. There are two things I have to point out. First, my dining table and chairs are wooden furniture that have been in our family for close to 100 years, and they have a lot of sentimental value to my family. They used to be at my sister's house, but she asked me if I can take them, since her kids used to jump on them during mealtime and she was scared that they would get damaged. I don't have kids and just got a bigger house, so I have space, thus I happily took them. Second, Dale is morbidly obese. He is about 5'5" and weighs more than 300 pounds. Given that, my dining chairs are wooden and old, I didn't want to risk them not being able to hold Dale's weight, so I prepared a different, sturdier chair for him to sit on. I've had overweight people sit on my dining chairs before, but none as obese as Dale. When Katie saw that I was asking Dale to sit on a different chair from everybody else, she got livid and told me that I was embarrassing Dale. I was shocked that she would get upset like that in front of everyone. So I stammered an explanation about how my chairs are old and I wasn't sure that they would hold him. Katie said that I was being fat-phobic and that she couldn't be friends with a person like me. They both left immediately, while the rest of my friends stayed long enough just to finish their dinner, and we called it an early night. So am I the asshole for embarrassing my friend's obese boyfriend by making him sit on a chair different from everyone else at dinner?
Story time. A very old friend of mine invited me to go hang out. It was last minute, but I was already ready because I was playing with my makeup. So I just got dressed, grabbed my keys, and went outside when he told me he was here. As I was walking to his car, I had music playing on my phone. So before I came inside, he was on the phone with someone and he muted it. And he was telling me, shh, turn music off. And I got into the car and I heard yelling from his phone. And I was just thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, who the hell is he on the phone with? I was thinking maybe his mom. But no, he was on the phone with his girlfriend. And I had no idea he was still in a relationship. And his girlfriend was on the phone screaming and yelling like, what are you hiding from me? What is on your phone? And why are you doing this to me? And she was crying and yelling. And I was just sitting in the front seat like in shock. Go to part 2. This girl was screaming and yelling on the phone. I was just sitting there very quiet because he was telling me not to say anything. I wanted to sneeze so bad. So I told him, I typed it in my notes like, hey, I need to sneeze. So he went to a random parking lot and got out the car. But from what I was hearing on the phone, it looks like he cheated on his girlfriend or he was hiding something. 20 minutes went by while I was sitting in his car by myself. He came inside and showed me 2 pictures of 2 different girls. And he asked me, which one do I pick? So I picked the second picture he showed me. And he said, okay, and left the car. He came back 10 minutes later because his phone died. And he told me, I'm sorry, but I have to take you home. After being there for 30 minutes, I thought that was a perfect idea. As we were riding home, he kept telling himself, I'm so fucking dumb. Why did I do that? And I was asking him, what are you talking about, dude? And he told me, and the guy said, did you hear how she was crying and screaming? And I said, yeah. And he said, I did that. And I was like, yeah, dude, you're an idiot. And he was like, I know I am. And I was telling him, you don't deserve them, dude. You're an idiot. Why would you do that? And on my way home, because he was the one driving me, I was asking him, like, dude, what's going on? He told me that he had 2 girlfriends and that one of his girlfriends looked through his phone and found out. And then that girlfriend told his other girlfriend. So both of them were blowing up his phone. Both of them were calling him. And he only felt horrible
because he got caught. And I asked him, if you really liked your first girlfriend, why'd you date the other one? And he responded with, I don't know, she's just cool, man. And I was left in disbelief.
Am I the asshole for creating a fake Tinder profile to catfish my younger sister? My younger sister Layla is 16 years old, and she's super out there. I mean, she's doing tons of illegal things, stealing my parents' cars, and is never home on time for curfew. As her older brother, I feel obligated that I have to look out for her, but I think she's just too far gone at this point. However, when my friend recently said that he came across a profile of hers on Tinder, which is an 18 and up app, I knew that something had to be done. There are tons of creeps on Tinder, and I don't know who she's going to be hanging out with, or if she can even get killed. So I created a fake Tinder profile for a guy who was in his early 20s. I made him super attractive, someone she would never know, literally just a random person off the internet. I made some fake profile about some things that I knew she kind of liked. That way I know they would match. So I then matched with my sister on Tinder, and I started messaging with her, kind of flirting with her a little bit. Not in a weird way, I promise. Also, my parents were fully aware that I was doing this. They were even helping me with some of the texts. After about an hour of talking, I sprung on the question of if she would meet me in a park at around midnight by herself. And she agreed. My parents and I honestly didn't know what to do because this was so unsafe. But I called the friend that originally saw her on Tinder. She had never met him before, so she didn't know what he looked like. And we sent him to the park to go meet her. We told him to kind of take her aggressively and put her in the car, drive around for a few minutes, and then drop her off back home. Which is what he did. When she was dropped off back home about 15 minutes later, she was truly petrified. I mean, sobbing her eyes out, terrified, literally hugged me. And then we took her into the house and explained to her all of the issues and problems that this was going to cause if she continued to talk to older men online, especially meeting up with them alone at night. And she was lucky that we found her first before someone else did. When I explained to her about my fake Tinder profile, she was pissed. I mean, screaming, crying, throwing a full-on tantrum, started throwing things at me, trying to hit me. So am I in the wrong?
Story time. When I was a senior in high school, I was very open to dating. And everyone was pretty normal, except for this one guy. This guy DM'd me on Instagram, and I normally don't DM back to most, but I said why not? I just wanted to be friends and nothing more. But we agreed to hang out. We went downtown to this restaurant and we ordered pizza and some boneless wings. Everything was all right, kept everything friendly, no flirting, no nothing. A week after, I really needed help in my history class, and it was such a coincidence that my new little friend favorite subject was history. So I went over his house and he did all my assignments for me. And I'm running out of time, so run to part 2. Story time, part 2. I went to my little friend's house and he did all my homework. After that night, he kept sending me paragraphs, telling me how he felt about me, morning and night. And I was starting to feel some type of way because I was already talking to someone that I wanted to get in a relationship with. So I was trying to find a reason to cut this guy off. He lied about something small and I made it a big deal on purpose so that I can cut him off. The last time I hung out with him when he did all my homework, I told him where I worked at. But I did not give him my address or showed him exactly where. So that day he knew that I was at work and he showed up to my job. But luckily, I have to buzz people in so that they can get inside. I was texting him and I told him, "What are you doing here?" And go to part 3.
Am I the asshole for fake sleeping all night to see if my wife is lying? The past couple of months, my wife had been complaining about our cats. She's been claiming that the cats wake her up constantly and that she's frustrated every night that she has to get up and open the door for the cats. Or the cats keep making noises, or the cats keep jumping on her. It got me to the point where she started saying she wants me to get rid of them. I've told her I've never seen or heard any of this, but she claims I sleep through it all. She kept telling me that she was getting less and less sleep and kept acting aggressive, blaming lack of sleep from the cats and that if I didn't get rid of them, she'd leave me. I legitimately started considering giving the cats to my sister until I noticed something. One morning, she claimed she had gotten up multiple times throughout the night to help the cats. She listed a bunch of times. I thought it was weird because I had been up until 4 a.m. and she claimed that she got up at 1 a.m. to open the door for them and a few times around 3 a.m. because they were meowing and jumping on her. I was in the bedroom the entire time while she slept, and I know none of this happened. Things weren't adding up, so I decided to run a test. I waited until she said she was going to bed, then I let the cats out of our bedroom. I lowered my phone brightness and faked going to sleep. I just lay there in my bed for the entire night bored, but I definitely did not fall asleep. I made sure to make timestamps every 30 minutes on my phone through Discord just to be sure. I marked down every noise my cats made. One cat had jumped down from something and made a little noise around 3:18 a.m. and one ate food relatively quietly by the bedroom door at 4:57 a.m. Other than that, nothing happened. Sure enough, my wife slept from 11 p.m. until 9 a.m. and that morning she claimed she had woken up at least 7 times to open doors from the cat noises and cats jumping on her. At this point, I was pissed because she was clearly lying to me. I was exhausted and fed up with the lies, so I bluntly called her out on it. I told her, that's funny. I stayed up all night to monitor the cats and they weren't even in the room at all last night. I have timestamps and everything. So you've been lying to me and trying to convince me to get rid of my cats? Why? She just sat there quietly shaking and looking pissed, then got up and left without answering. She came back hours later and ignored me whenever I talked. And when I asked her how I'm the bad guy in the situation, she finally said that I was treating her like a child by lying about sleeping and staying up all night just to see if she was lying or not. And that making timestamps and everything as if I was an investigator was going too far and makes me an obsessive asshole. I did it because she was threatening to make me get rid of the cats or she'd leave me, and her claims didn't add up. So am I the obsessive asshole here?
I am really exposing myself right now. Like, I might be oversharing at this point. I might get in trouble for this story. So back when I was a freshman in high school, I loved anxiety sticks, if you know what I mean. An anxiety stick. And they were really popular back in my freshman days. And I thought I was so cool with an anxiety stick. I was like, hey guys, look at me and my anxiety stick. Like, what? But anyways, I liked these things and I was so addicted to them that I decided it was a good idea to bring them to school. Not a good idea. So it's an average weekday of school and I had just gotten a new anxiety stick. So it's my gym class, my second class, and I bring my anxiety stick into the locker room. I go into the bathroom stalls in the locker room and I'm like, time to take a hit. Time to smack it. As I go to smack it, it falls into the toilet. Now, what would any sane person do? Leave it in the toilet and flush it, correct? No! That's not what I did. I created a whole new disease and decided to take it out of the toilet, wipe it off, and smack it again. That is how you get sick. That is how you get a heart disease. That is disgusting. That is caca water. So I take it out of the toilet and I go to smack it again. And obviously it doesn't work because it was just in the toilet. When I take it out of my mouth because it wasn't working, smoke starts to expel from this. Like, so much smoke. It will not stop smoking. So I'm over here freaking out because now the entire bathroom stall is filling up with smoke. Like, there is smoke everywhere. It looks like there was a freaking fire. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And then it starts heating up. It is burning my hand. So I drop it on the floor because my hand is literally on fire right now. And there's so much smoke everywhere. So I put it on the floor and I stomp it with my foot really hard. And then it stops smoking and it stops heating up. As I'm stomping on it, guess who walks into the bathroom? My gym teacher. So I'm over here like, oh my God, I'm about to get expelled. I'm about to get expelled. She knocks on my stall and she goes, Kayla, are you in there? And I'm like, yeah. Literally praying to the gods. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get expelled. Oh my God. She's like, okay, well, we're about to do warm-ups for gym, so hurry up. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there in a couple minutes. So I put the anxiety stick into my pocket. I go to my locker in the locker room and I put it in there. So 45 minutes later, I come back into the locker room after my gym period and I have so much anxiety because I already know that this thing started to smoke when I put it in my locker. I open up my locker, smoke. Phew. There is smoke pouring out of my locker right now. At this point, I'm on the verge of tears. I am so freaked out. So I grab my gym shirt and I just start swinging it everywhere, trying to get the smoke away. I pick up the anxiety stick. I bring it over to the bathroom. I throw it in the toilet and I flush it down the toilet. And from that day, I have never ever picked up an anxiety stick again. That was traumatizing, to say the least, because I'm telling you, if I got caught with that, expelled. I would not have a phone right now. My parents would literally, oh, you're done. You're done. That thing was smoking so much, it was like bad. And when it started to heat up, I cannot explain to you how hot that thing got. Don't do what I did. It's not worth it.
Okay, so I don't know if you're still taking paranormal stories for a future episode, but I figure I send in my experience. So my freshman year, I was in a triple dorm with 2 girls who I genuinely did not get along with. However, we are all united on the front that something weird/spooky was happening in our room. We were on the 2nd story of our dorm building, and often we would begin to hear Jack in the Box music. We would go investigate with all 3 of us to see if anyone in the hallway was playing music or outside our window, but never found anyone. This would happen frequently. Other times, we would all be watching something on the television we shared, and suddenly, books would fall from the shelves they had been on, and the TV would glitch. One time while watching TV, it turned itself off, and the TV stand shook, and the flat screen fell over. After a few occurrences like this, we decided to tell our RA about our weird experiences together because we did not want to seem crazy, and she informed us that lots of people on the floors above us, but in the same room, had reported similar happenings to their RAs. The freakiest happening didn't come until we shared with our RA, though. Our dorm room doors were on the hydraulic hinges, so no one could slam the door, and they would shut slowly behind. This meant that no one could pull the door shut quickly. It simply couldn't be done. Every night, we all triple-checked the door being locked before bed because of how bad all of our anxiety was. On one night, after we had all checked on the door and gone to lay down in our lofted beds, the door slammed open and was slammed shut again just as quickly. We all three screamed because it shocked and terrified us from not only the noise, but realization it should not have been physically possible due to the door being locked and the hinges the door used. Our screams were so loud that our RA and other people on our floor ran to see what was wrong and tried to open our door. It was locked again, just as it had been when we checked it before the incident. After the incident, we all struggled to live there. It was scary and my anxiety increased 100%. Small things happened here and there, like the Bluetooth speaker turning on and playing creepy classical music.
Oh no.
Shut up.
Despite my roommate being the only one connected to it with a password. Nothing like the door incident ever happened again, but my RA did share a picture of the ghost we all believed was haunting us from one of the residents that lived above us. I attached the picture here.
Oh, okay, let's
Wait,
see
I'm
it.
so scared
You
to
don't
see
want
this
to see
picture.
it? It's not going to be that creepy.
What if it is? You don't know.
Do you think it is?
It gives me the chills.
Oh! I want to unsee it. And I'm not even reacting. Stop. I want to unsee it, but I also want to look again because I'm like, did I see that correctly? I want to. No.
Mexico, and my family is kind of wealthy. That's why we have a maid living with us who does the housework. She also has a daughter called Maria, who's 1 year older than me. We never talked much because Maria wasn't allowed to leave her small chamber unless she helped with the housework or had to go to school. I know we didn't treat her well, but a few months ago, she started giving me eye contact, and I always smiled back at her. I mean, she was quite beautiful. I even tried talking to her, but she was too shy and couldn't bring out a single word. But one Saturday morning, she came into my room to bring me breakfast. I told her, "Oh wow, that looks awesome. Thank you so much." That's when I noticed that she was wearing a rather revealing outfit. She put the breakfast on my bed, bowed down, and said, "Sir, can I do you any other favor?" Wow, I could see her bra, and it was so arousing. I offered her to sit down on my bed and eat the breakfast with me together. It was the first time we had a real conversation, and after a few minutes, she said, "It's very cold in here." I responded, "I'm sorry, the air conditioning is too strong, but you can come under my blanket." Suddenly, we were laying right next to each other, with my legs touching hers. I even put my hand on her thighs. Things were great until my mom came into the room. She saw us and said, "Oh my God, what are you doing? How can you sleep with a girl like her?" Maria was so embarrassed. She ran outside. Meanwhile, I tried to explain to my mom that we hadn't slept with each other. But my mom responded, "She only wants to get pregnant by you, so she gets our money." Wow, my mom always saw the worst in other people. No wonder, she was a terrible person herself. I mean, our maid was living with us for 5 years, and we still treated her like a worthless servant. My family didn't even pay for Maria's school fees. But I liked her a lot, and we started seeing each other in secret. I still remember the first time she came into my room at night. She was still shy and only said, "Hey." I stood up and said, "Wow, you look beautiful." But she was so nervous, she couldn't even look me in the eyes. I had never felt more aroused. She was wearing a short black dress, and I couldn't help myself. I put my hand on her wrist and pulled her towards me. Then I grabbed her hair, pulled it back, and kissed her. This was the first of many nights we spent together. But then it happened. She told me she was pregnant. I was confused and said, "But we always use protection. How could this happen?" She said she didn't know either. But I had a suspicion. Anyway, it was hard to tell my parents about the baby. Both of them freaked out, and my dad even wanted to throw Maria out on the streets. I was shocked and said, "No, I love her, and I want to be her boyfriend. She isn't as bad of a girl as you think." I guess my parents were disappointed I wouldn't marry a girl from a good family. But I really didn't care. Maria was a lovely girl, and she was carrying my baby. However, in the first few months of our relationship, I learned that we were quite different. I don't want to sound arrogant, but Maria was less educated than me, and I didn't enjoy talking to her much. I still tried to be a responsible dad, but when I turned 18, I went to my first party. It was so crazy with all those beautiful girls. I stayed faithful that night and didn't kiss or sleep with another girl, but afterward, I started having doubts about my relationship with Maria. Maybe I wasn't ready for a family, and things got worse when I went to university. There were so many pretty girls, and many of them were flirting with me. Couldn't take it anymore, so I went to Maria and said, "I know you'll be angry, but I want an open relationship." She started crying and said, "No, that's not fair." But I responded, "I'm just too young for a serious relationship. I'm sorry." I knew I was a douche because Maria had no choice. She couldn't leave me because she had no money. She was dependent on me. And as horrible as it sounds, I kind of like that because it made me feel powerful. Well, after Maria had given birth, my parents rented us a small apartment next to my university where we moved in. But I partied often and even brought girls home. And yes, I took them into the same bed my girlfriend was lying in. She would act as if she was asleep most of the time. But one night, I was drunk, woke her up, and asked if she wanted to join us. But she just started crying and ran outside. That ruined my mood, and I apologized to her afterward. Gosh, I knew I was such a jerk, but I still continued. One of my favorite girls I was dating was Mathilde. She was well-educated and funny. I told her I had an open relationship with my girlfriend, and then I asked her if she wanted to move in with us. She was reluctant at first, but finally agreed. It was so awkward when I introduced her to Maria. I said, "Maria, this is Mathilde. We've been seeing each other for a few weeks now, and I want her to become part of our relationship." I could tell Maria was angry. Of course, she wanted me all for herself. But that wouldn't happen, and a three-way relationship was still better than me breaking up with Maria. Then I pulled both of them close to me, and we all kissed each other. Gosh, it was one of the most exciting moments of my life. But it got even better afterwards. We also all slept in the same bed, which I loved, but they didn't get along so well and often insulted each other. Their conflict escalated when Mathilde accidentally used Maria's towel. Maria freaked out, and they ended up physically fighting each other wearing short pants on my bed. It sounds terrible, but it aroused me to see them fight over me. However, I still broke up the fight to make sure no one got hurt. In the end, Maria and I decided it couldn't continue like that. And now my parents are paying her $1,000 each month to rent her own apartment where she raises my daughter. I take care of my daughter on the weekends, and I really enjoy being a dad. But university is more important right now, so I can find a good job one day and provide well for both my daughter